All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, so glad you could join us. Rolling out on a Monday, and we're going to continue to monitor this story. Just a terrible story about a woman in Dallas, a police officer shooting a bullet through the window, killing her. How has this officer not been arrested yet? I don't know. We're going to continue to monitor this story for you. This story's not going away, trust me, and we'll continue. But a lot of stuff has gone on over the weekend, throughout the week. You know, Shepard Smith retiring from Fox News anyway. Donald Trump meeting with the head of Fox News, threatening to file a lawsuit against Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff. Oh, yeah, a lot of stuff to get to, and what better person to talk to about all this stuff with his legal expertise, that is attorney Michael Avenatti. Michael, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How's it going?
Going good.
Going very well.
So, Michael, let me get your first impression on this. You know, I've always said I respected Shepard Smith, and I know you do as well. I think he was one of the good guys on Fox News. So he abruptly ends his tenure there at Fox News, and we learned the day before that Donald Trump had a private meeting with the head of Fox News. Those two have to be hand in hand, do they not?
Well, I mean, you wonder whether, whether they are hand in hand. The timing seems highly suspicious. You know, Shepard Smith is one of the few real journalists left on Fox News, and I think ultimately he had probably just had enough in trying to swim upstream against many of the opinion hosts like Tucker Carlson and others who really aren't interested in reporting the truth or the news. They're more interested in speaking into their echo chamber and spreading disinformation in order to assist Trump.
Now, I've also been outspoken about Chris Wallace. I think Wallace is a very good journalist, and he is very fair at Fox News as well. In fact, if you had asked me the top two, I would say Wallace and Shepard Smith are the fairest of them all on that network. Donald Trump also went after Wallace. He's called Wallace his friend, and now he's going after Wallace and his son. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, he took that shot at Wallace, saying that he would never amount to what his father was. Mike Wallace, of course, of 60 Minutes, and also called Mike Wallace one of his friends. If Mike Wallace were alive today, I don't know that he would count Donald Trump as one of his friends. But look, Trump wants to utilize Fox News as his own personal propaganda network. And you've seen him make mention many times, especially over the last couple months, about the fact that, you know, Fox News is no longer good for us, quote unquote. And what he's talking about is, of course, good for Trump and his administration. Trump also recognizes that without the support of Fox News across the board, significant support in 2020, that Trump cannot win the election. If he does not have the support of Fox News, and if they're not out there doing his bidding, he's going to have a significant problem.
So we're going to get to the impeachment stuff in a little bit here, but let's start with certainly what was shocking to me. People like Lindsey Graham and many Republicans, people on the right, going after Donald Trump for the withdrawing of troops out of Syria. I was shocked. So I guess the couple questions I want to ask you. First of all, why did it take this long for Republicans to finally criticize Donald Trump, number one? And number two, why do you think Donald Trump withdrew these troops? He had to know that there was going to be backlash for it. Why did he do it?
Well, let me back up, because I think that this is a critical issue, one of the most critical issues that has arisen during the Trump presidency. And I want the listeners to understand, and this is beyond dispute. There's no dispute about what I'm about to say, okay? These are the facts. The U.S. had a presence in Syria. They were backing the Kurds, and the Kurds were fighting ISIS. And they were taking into custody and placing basically in prisons ISIS terrorists and their supporters. Okay, what I've just said is beyond dispute. I don't care if you're on the right, the left, or the center. There's no debate about what I just said. About a week ago, Trump takes a call from the leader of Turkey, and Turkey has been wanting to advance into Syria to go after the Kurds. Trump takes a call and summarily announces almost immediately that the U.S. is going to withdraw support of the Kurds out of Syria. What this has done within about 7 days is completely upset the region. Now, there's a lot of people that are listening to that right now, and they're saying, well, I don't care about the middle. You know what? Let them fight their battles. We've been paying all this money all these years. Why is the U.S. a world policeman? We need to worry about things here at home, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's great. But let me explain to you now what has happened. What has happened is that entire region has been destabilized. Why do we care about that here in the United States? Well, forget about the humanitarian aspects, which we should care about. Here's why we care about it, ladies and gentlemen, because there's about 18,000 terrorists in custody in that region under the control of the Kurds. Now the Kurds are having to fight Turkey. So what that means is that the Kurds are pulling up stakes, and they're no longer securing these ISIS terrorists in these prisons in Syria. And now what has happened is 785 plus escaped over the weekend. There's going to be thousands of additional terrorists that are going to escape now in Syria. That is a serious, serious problem for the United States. These people want to do harm to the United States. These are terrorists. These are some of the most dangerous terrorists on the planet. And Donald Trump has allowed these people to escape, period. This is on Donald Trump. So I don't want to hear anything more from my friends on the right about how tough Donald Trump is and about how he's going to root out terrorism and about how he's all about making America safe, because that's a bunch of BS, folks. You can't allow thousands of terrorists to escape and then claim you're tough on terror. And the Democrats need to take this and they need to make Trump eat it and own it, because it is on him and only him. This is a very dangerous situation.
I just want to
2, 3, 4 years from now, when there is a terrorist attack on Americans, God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen. But if it does happen and ISIS is responsible, there is going to be a significant chance that you'll be able to lay that responsibility at the feet of Donald Trump because of what he has just done.
Also important to note, sidebar here quickly, that Donald Trump decided to play a round of golf yesterday while innocent Kurds are dying. That's right. And this was the man who criticized Barack Obama for playing too much golf. JD, go ahead.
Do you think that this is a favor to Putin, considering the fact that Russia comes out pretty decent in this situation, Michael?
Well, I don't know if it's that or if it's, look, Trump made this decision for a reason. And everyone is scratching their head because no one can really understand why he would make this decision, especially so abruptly. And I think that's what's caused people like Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham and others, big supporters of the president, to take a step back, because they don't understand why this decision would be made so quickly without any input from people that actually know what the hell is going on over there. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, he made this decision abruptly and caught everybody off guard. Look, there's a reason why he did it. I believe he did it as a personal favor because he has something personally to gain as a result of his business interest in Turkey. I might be wrong about that, but if somebody has some other explanation as to why he did this, I'd love to hear it, because it's not in order to make America safe, because he has basically now given the order that has allowed thousands of terrorists to escape. Well, I mean, imagine if Barack Obama allowed 5 terrorists to escape. I mean, there would be absolute outcry. But look, guys, this is a big deal. And, there's a tendency in the United States when things happen outside of the United States, it's not as important. We have a tendency, we worry about a lot of what's happening here. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. This is a major, major big deal. I cannot state how important this is.
Well, and he doesn't have any experience on a tactical level. He doesn't have any experience internationally with war, et cetera, et cetera. And this wasn't a major expense for the United States. It was less than 1,000. And I'm a Donald Trump supporter saying this. It was less than 1,000 troops. The troops were stagnant. They weren't exactly, they weren't suffering a lot of fatalities. There really isn't much of a rhyme or reason behind this decision.
Well, you're absolutely right. And not only that, though, but it wasn't necessarily how many troops that we had there. It was the fact that we made it clear to Turkey before last Sunday.
Who helped us?
You can't come into Syria.
Right.
You're not permitted to advance. We're not going to stand for it. Period. That's what it was about. There was a hammer that we were holding in order to deter Turkey from doing this. And all of a sudden, last Sunday, Trump basically removed that hammer and said, okay, Turkey, have at it. And the problem is, before he did that, nobody took a step back, and the president didn't take a step back and go, okay, hold on a minute. There's about 18,000 terrorists in custody in this region. If I destabilize this region and all of a sudden allow Turkey to advance into Syria and fight the Kurds, what the hell is going to happen to all these terrorists? Or how about this? Maybe we should remove the terrorists before we allow Turkey to advance in the region. Maybe we should take steps to secure and make sure these people are in custody. Nobody did that. And now you're going to have thousands of terrorists. Basically, ISIS is going to be reconstituted almost overnight.
Right, and considering the fact that he basically ran on, I'm going to bomb the hell out of ISIS, et cetera, and then the people that helped him defeat ISIS, now he's just leaving behind for whatever reason. It doesn't lend a lot of credibility to the United States as far as international affairs.
No, it certainly doesn't. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a few people that want to get on the line with you, Michael, that disagree with you. The number here to call, by the way, if you want to discuss this, is 257-5396. Again, that number to call. We're joined by Michael Avenatti, attorney Michael Avenatti on the line right now. If you want to give us a buzz, the number is 257-5396. Okay, Frank, you disagree with Michael Avenatti. Tell us why.
Well, you're talking the last of the 3rd Armored Division. That's Patton's division. This old soldier, and Avenatti is bright. He understands there's no money in the cure. Those terrorists, they should have been executed, and we should have plenty of livers and kidneys for donors. This is not rocket science. The terrorists escaped. You do to that. You behead them and be done. You don't feed them. You don't put guard duty around them. You don't give them their 5 days of prayer. That's all I got to say, Avenatti.
All right, Frank. Go ahead, Michael.
Let me ask you: Is he on?
Frank, are you still there? I think Frank hung up on us. Go ahead, Michael.
So look, I'm not going to, obviously, I don't agree with what Frank just said on a number of levels. Certain aspects of it I do agree with, but here's the bottom line. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that you have 18,000 terrorists, people that are threats, significant threats to the United States and our citizens. You have them in custody. You got to make a decision that keeps those people in custody. You got to have a plan. You can't just turn them loose. Imagine if we had a prison or a series of prisons here in the United States without 18,000 violent criminals, and all of a sudden Trump made a decision on a Sunday, and they were released within 7, 10, 14 days. Imagine the outrage. And that's basically what we're looking at. These are very dangerous people. And I thought that Donald Trump, I thought he was all about being a tough guy, that someone that was about protecting America. It's a very, very dangerous situation, and he's put American lives at risk, period.
That's a good point. What do you guys think out there? We have Michael Avenatti on the line. Give us a call if you have a question for Michael or comment, 257-5396. Again, that number is 702-257-5396. We have Carl on the line. Carl, you have an idea for why Trump pulled these troops out. Why don't you tell us what that is?
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Avenatti. Listen, I don't have the great and unmatched wisdom that Donald Trump has, which he said the other day, but I do have an idea. He made this pullout order just quite quickly after talking to the Erdogan, is that how you pronounce it, the president of Turkey. And do you think that Erdogan is a dictator, obviously, and a strong man, that he was threatening Trump because Trump's always talking about his gorgeous property in Turkey, his hotel and all. He might have told Trump, look, you pull them out, we want to come in, or we're going to confiscate your property.
All right, Carl, that's an interesting theory there. Michael, why don't you respond to that? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's certainly possible. Look, I don't know the reason why he made this decision, and no one does. I mean, he says it was because, it's time to withdraw from the region, but it was only 1,000 troops. And it's not even so much withdrawing the troops or having the troops there, as I mentioned earlier, that was the reason why Turkey was not advancing. It was the fact that the U.S. made it known to Turkey, we are not going to permit you to advance on the Kurds, period. And so I don't know why he made this reason or this decision. There is no legitimate reason that he could have decided this, in my view. There's no legitimate reason. So if he must have done it for personal gain, or he must have had personal reasons to do it, because it makes 0 sense. And it also makes 0 sense politically. I mean, this is a guy that is fighting for his political future. He needs all the help he can get in the U.S. Senate right now. He doesn't need to be upsetting people like Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, guys that up until this point have been his lapdogs. And yet that's exactly what he's done, and he's done it over Turkey. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree. Joined by Michael Avenatti. If you want to give us a call, you have a question for Michael, 257-5396. Let's go to Vaughn. Vaughn, you're next. You're on with Michael. Go ahead.
What's up, Vaughn?
Hello, how you doing today, this
Good.
morning? My comment is based on what happened is that we did not want to eliminate the initial threat. I'm a veteran, by the way.
Thank you for your service.
When Obama was in office, we did not decide to eliminate the threat. Now the threat is being handed from president to president. Eventually, either we're going to have to eliminate the threat or we're going to have to ignore it. We can't do both. So now the humanitarians that they claim they are has come back to America twofold. Now, my question to him is, why didn't he make this initial stance when we were collecting the 18,000 to eliminate the threat, the great threat against America that is deemed today? Why wasn't the threat eliminated initially? Now it's Donald Trump's fault that the threat wasn't eliminated?
All right, Vaughn, hang on the line. Let's let Michael respond to that. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay.
So again, Vaughn, look, I don't necessarily disagree with your position about what should have been done back with Obama and others. I really don't, okay? But here's what I will say. You got to deal with the here and the now, right? We can't – the past is the past, unfortunately, and we can't go back and change that. But the here and the now is this. You got 18,000 terrorists who are threats to American lives, very dangerous people, some of the most dangerous people on earth, okay? These people don't care about American lives. They want to eliminate America. You have 18,000 terrorists sitting.
What did you
hold on a minute. I'm not finished. You got to let me finish, and then I'm going to let you talk. You got 18,000 people in custody.
I heard the statistics that you quoted when I was listening to the radio show already. I know that it's 18,000 extremely violent terrorists, but my question to you, are we going to deal with it? So are you telling me that it's better for us to nurse this situation and to let it persist and let it fester, or should we do something about it? Because I'm a truth. Have you ever served overseas? Have you ever separated from your family and instead of eliminating something to make sure that America is safe, or should we continue to put Band-Aids on everything? And when the Band-Aid comes off, we say, oh, my God, the person that let the Band-Aid come off is a villain.
Well, first of all, because of the hard work of people like yourself and servicemen and women who put their lives on the line and whose families were there for them, because of their hard work and their dedication and risking their lives, we had basically eliminated ISIS. We had these 18,000 people in custody over in Syria, and we had effectively wiped out ISIS because of the hard work and the lives that were lost along the way, by the way. Now, guess what? Now we got a serious problem, because these folks are now being released. They have escaped from custody, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Eliminate
and thousands more are going to follow. So let me ask you this, though. If I came to you and we had 18,000 terrorists in custody, and if I came to you and I said, okay, look, here are your decision choices, and one of them would result in the release of these people, allowing them to escape and pose a threat to America, you would never agree to do that. Never in a million years, because you know what it took to put those people in custody.
Festering. And it's going to fester decisions. We can't make decisive decisions because every time we make a decision that is for America and for our protection, as you say, we have to worry about how Democrats are going to feel and how it makes society feel. So now that we've made decisions and worried about how everyone feels and everyone got a humanitarian feel good, the threat is still persistent. So now it's someone else's fault instead of us dealing with the threat initially. So again, if we did not eliminate ISIS, what we did was we put ISIS in prison. And now we're dealing with the prison that ISIS was in because the Democrats decided that we did not have the goal to eliminate the threat initially. So now we're dealing with it again. So now you're telling us that we should have another humanitarian feel-good and continue.
Well, wait a minute. I don't think I'm talking about a humanitarian feel-good. I'm talking about making sure these people stay locked up and are no longer a threat to America. That's not a humanitarian feel-good. I'm not advocating. You got to let me finish.
Because they can't. We need to keep showing.
All right, Vaughn.
Great feel-good.
Vaughn, let's let Michael finish his statement, and then we'll let you continue. Go ahead, Michael.
Vaughn, I'm not advocating for some humanitarian, compassionate release program for the ISIS terrorists. I'm advocating for just the opposite. These folks need to remain locked up, and you cannot implement a policy or a decision that allows 8,000 terrorists who want to eliminate Americans to escape. That is wholly irresponsible. It's outrageous. It's ludicrous. And it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Libertarian, an Independent, or a Republican. You cannot implement a policy that puts America at risk like that.
If you're just joining us, Michael Avenatti joining us on the line. We have a few phone lines open. If you care to comment, ask him a question, the number to call 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. We only have a few more minutes here, and then we go to break. I'm going to try to squeeze in one more call, Johnny, if I can. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, I got about a minute or two for you. Go ahead. You're on with Michael Avenatti, Kevin.
Hey, yeah, I was listening to some of your veterans.
Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just listening to some of your veterans that were calling and talking about we didn't deal with the threat. We should have eliminated them. First of all, our United States military is not mercenaries. Okay, when people surrender on the battlefield, you take them into custody. This whole situation going back and saying that liberals or that Democrats or that Obama didn't do his job.
The feel good, yeah.
Your president today just did the stupidest thing he could have ever done. Okay, these are all things, they're just happening in real time, real fast, and this is going to have reverberating consequences for our armed services. We're going to be back over there, and we're going to spend blood and treasure to take that ground back. This is at Donald Trump's feet. All you Trump supporters need to stop dithering and understand you made a bad decision. This man, you made this monster now. This man is doing things that only a king would try to do because you put him in this position.
Kevin, it's a valid point. Kevin, thank you for the phone call. Michael, I only got about 30 seconds here. Go ahead if you want to quickly respond to Kevin.
Look, I agree significantly with Kevin. I think he's absolutely right that we're going to be back over there. I mean, here's what's going to happen. This entire region is going to be destabilized. You're going to now have the resurgence of ISIS over in Syria. We talked about it was 1,000 U.S. troops to try to keep people in check because we had the Kurds. We're not going to have the Kurds next time. We're going to have to put tens of thousands of troops in Syria in order to try to combat ISIS, and we may not even have that option because now Putin may get involved in it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we got to take a quick break, Michael. Sorry to cut you off, but hang on the line with us. We haven't even mentioned the Ukrainian president and possible impeachment inquiry. The impeachment inquiry, well, it's not possible. It is happening. We'll take a quick break. Michael Avenatti will join us on the other side and take your phone calls at 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro rolling out hour number 2. Oh, yeah. Michael Avenatti joining us on the line, and we have not even gotten to the Ukrainian situation, the impeachment inquiry. So we're going to get to that. And by the way, taking your phone calls as well. If you have a question for Michael Avenatti or a comment, feel free to give us a buzz right now. 257-5396 is that number to call, 702-257-5396. Okay, Michael, a lot to get to. Let's start with your friend Rudy Giuliani. It seems like Rudy's in a lot of trouble. And what do you make of his situation? Do you think he could be facing some serious charges? And what do you make of these two goons that were arrested associated with Giuliani and Donald Trump? What do you make of this whole situation?
You know, guys, I think dazed and confused Rudy and these two guys have really got a raw deal. I mean, what's the big deal? They have lunch. They decide at lunch last minute they're going to fly to Vienna on one-way tickets to take in a little Mozart, a little Beethoven. Next thing you know, two of the guys are getting arrested. I mean, this is entirely unfair to these guys. I mean, look, everybody goes to lunch and decides last minute to take a one-way trip to Vienna. after having potentially committed treason against the United States. Happens all the time. Why are these guys getting such a raw deal?
Exactly. What's the big deal? I mean, it's not like they did anything wrong. I mean, honestly, what do you make of Donald Trump saying, well, you know what? I really don't know these two guys, but, quote, I might be in a few pictures with them. That's what he said. He said that to the media over the weekend.
Well, my favorite picture is the picture of Biff, Don Jr. at the Beverly Hills Hotel, breaking bread with these guys. I've looked at this picture quite a bit. I've blown it up on my, I've used Photoshop and other photos. I can't find Hunter Biden in this picture to save my life. I don't know. He's not in the picture. I can't find him. I sent a tweet out to Biff. Maybe Biff can tell me where Hunter Biden is in the picture with the two Ukrainian guys.
Speaking of Biff, by the way, and speaking of the Trump, we'll get back to the Giuliani thing in a second, but you mentioned Hunter Biden, right? Every Republican wants to talk about, oh, my God, Hunter Biden was making $80,000 a month. Do you know how much money, Michael, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump have made in the last year? $87 million. But Republicans don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Hunter Biden, who made $80,000 a week, or was it a month? I think it was it a week or a month? I think it was a month.
It was a month.
Yeah.
Now, the allegation is it was $50,000 or $60,000 a month, and then they claim there was another $1.5 billion investment out of China into a fund in which he serves on the board, although there's nothing to suggest that was improper in any way, shape, or form. I mean, look, if the children of presidential candidates are going to be fair game, and I'm talking about children that do not put themselves out there, Don Jr. And Eric and Ivanka, I mean, they've interjected themselves into the political process the last 3 years. But look, if the children of presidential candidates are going to be fair game, then let's make all of the children fair game. That means Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, their spouses, they're all in the mix. And let's investigate them all.
I think if that would happen, I think a lot of people would probably be in a lot of trouble. But, we all know that's not going to happen. And you've said this on the show before. I've said this on the show before. Even if Hunter Biden broke the law, even if Joe Biden broke the law, it doesn't change the fact of what Donald Trump said in that transcript. Why is that so hard for some people on the right to understand?
Well, because they don't want to understand it. It's very simple. This is really not that complicated, okay? It's not about the whistleblower. It's not about Hunter Biden. It's not about any of these things. It's very simple. Did the President of the United States ask a foreign leader for assistance as it relates to Trump's political campaign or political efforts? And if the answer is yes, and I don't think there's any question that the answer is yes, that is an impeachable offense. You cannot request assistance, and if you're a foreign entity, you cannot give assistance to an American politician to assist him or her in connection with a campaign. Period. You can't do it. It's just that simple.
I agree.
All this other stuff is noise.
I agree. It seems pretty cut and dry to me, but yet there are many people on the right that are still saying that this is an absolute nothing burger. So what do you make of the latest information of a possible second whistleblower now coming forward? Do you think there's credibility to that?
Well, I think there's probably a number of whistleblowers that are going to come forward. But let me just say this. This isn't about the whistleblowers. It's about the information that the whistleblowers have and whether that evidence and information is credible or not. I mean, it's really that simple. And, Jailbreak Don could have a real problem as things go on as it relates to this. That's what I'm going to start calling him in light of what he's done with releasing 18,000 terrorists. I'm going to start calling him Jailbreak Don.
I like that, actually. It's got a nice ring to it. All right, let's go back to Giuliani. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but Mr. Giuliani is in a lot of trouble. It appears that he might have broken the law, and now he's lawyered up. He's hired an attorney. I mean, what do you make of what's going on with Rudy, and do you think he's going to end up like Michael Cohen in federal prison?
I don't. I don't think that the Department of Justice, especially under William Barr, is ever going to indict Rudy Giuliani. And
Why?
I think that the people that believe, that he will be indicted are fooling themselves. Why? Because the Department of Justice has been politicized to a significant degree. I mean, they're not going to go after Giuliani with everything that Giuliani knows. Never in a million years is that going to happen.
That's interesting. Okay, so Donald Trump, and by the way, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with attorney Michael Avenatti. If you have a question for Michael or a comment, you can give us a call now. Phone lines are open at 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. So, Michael, Donald Trump over the weekend said now he wants to go after Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi, possible file suit. What do you make of that?
I mean, that's going to be a dead bang loser. I mean, there's no valid legal basis to sue Pelosi or Schiff. There's no basis under the law to do it. It's going to be dead on arrival. It's a political stunt. It's going to go absolutely nowhere. Further, they do not have the ability to be, or he does not have the ability to impeach them, or frankly, they cannot be impeached. So, it'd be nice if the president of the United States just took 5 minutes, maybe in between holes next weekend, and read the Constitution. Just one time. I mean, I'm not asking him to study it or take a class or anything like that, but it would be refreshing if the President of the United States actually just one time read the Constitution. That would be refreshing.
Do you think that this threatening a lawsuit or a possible impeachment against Schiff and Pelosi is a sign of his desperation?
Well, I think everything we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a sign of desperation in just trying to come up with talking points and messaging and to rally his base against them. And it's been interesting to see because the White House and Trump to date have been very, very good on messaging and changing the narrative. They've struggled the last couple of weeks relating to this Ukrainian situation. They really haven't done a great job. The Democrats have done a slightly better job than they normally do. But I'm still highly confident they'll figure out a way to screw it up.
Michael, I want to switch topics with you here because this is a subject where I actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually defended Donald Trump. And this is the issue between China and the NBA. And I know you must have some opinions on this. So, as you know, coaches like Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, they are obviously anti-Trump. We all know that. And they speak out against Trump. And I don't have a problem with that or anybody who does that and speaks their political opinions. However, in this situation, when it came to China and the NBA, I felt like they kind of kept their mouth shut and almost like they were told to, and they didn't really speak out about this issue. And Donald Trump made that very clear, and I kind of agree with him on this. I think the NBA kind of sold out here a little bit instead of going to their core values. So what do you make of this situation between China and the NBA and the going back and forth between Donald Trump and these several NBA coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I happen to agree with you. I mean, and I happen to agree with Trump to a certain degree. I wouldn't go as far as he went, but they did pull an Olay, if you will, and really have tried to avoid addressing the situation. And so, this would be another instance, one of the rare instances where I would actually agree with Trump's assessment.
So we'll stick with sports for a second. You're a St. Louis guy. Your St. Louis Cardinals are in an NLCS battle right now. Jack Flaherty's up on the mound against Steven Strasburg today. They're down 2-0 in the series. They're actually 5-1 to win it. Do you think they have a chance to win this series still, Michael?
Well, I think they have a chance, but I actually went back to St. Louis this weekend. I took my dad, who's in his 80s, to both playoff games, so I was really happy I had a chance to do that. I've been a Cardinal fan since I was 11 years old, since I moved to St. Louis. They actually won the World Series the first year we were there in 1982, and that kind of cemented me as a lifelong Cardinal fan. So I'm a big Cardinal fan. I follow them pretty closely. I think they have a chance, but I have to tell you, they're facing an uphill battle against that pitching staff. They did not hit in either of the first two games. I mean, it was really amazing to watch their bats go as cold as they did. And, Washington's got a tough team. That player, Rendon, that guy's tough. I mean, they've got, they've had some opportune hits, although Washington left a lot of guys on base in the first game, but they got away with it. Obviously, the Cardinals have got to figure out a way to win two in Washington now. It's not impossible, but I think they're facing an uphill battle. The series, the Yankees-Astros, that's an unbelievable series. I watched that game late last night and watched the walk-off. That's going to be quite the battle to see what happens there. I would love to see. I've always wanted to see the Yankees and the Cardinals play in the World Series. I'd love to see it this year. I don't know though. It could very easily be Yankees Nationals or Houston Nationals.
So where does Michael Avenatti sit for a Major League Baseball playoff game? I would imagine you're not in the nosebleeds.
I'm not in the nosebleeds. You know, I was down in the field section. We had pretty good seats. You know, the first game, it was cold. It was like 40 degrees. Got down to about 40 degrees for that game the first night. That I don't know what was colder, the ambient air temperature or the Cardinals' bats. But, it was pretty cold game. But you know, it's always great to go back to St. Louis. It's such a great baseball town. You know, they've drawn 3 million fans, I think, for the last 16 years, which is a crazy statistic if you think about the population of St. Louis versus places like L.A. and New York. Very knowledgeable fans. They love their Cardinals there, and they have a rich history of success there with Cardinals baseball.
Give out the number again. We're joined by attorney Michael Avenatti. If you want to have a question for Michael, a comment, 257-5396. Again, that number, 702-257-5396. Why don't we go to Jessica? Jessica, you're next.
Hi, Michael. I just have one question for you. When is your first court date set for?
Well, Jessica wants to have an update on your personal court date situation. Michael, can you shed some light on that?
Well, we have a number of court dates along the way, but and right now the first trial is set in January 21st in New York, relating to these allegations concerning Nike. And as I've said in the past, I'm confident that when all the facts and the evidence comes into play in connection with that trial, that I'm going to be vindicated and I'm going to be acquitted.
How frustrating is it, Michael, when people, you know, whether it's social media or, for example, Tucker Carlson, when they really don't know the facts in any of these cases and they just spew out the hatred towards you, in my opinion, based on your political beliefs? I would imagine that has to be extremely frustrating for you when you can't talk about specifics on any of these cases, but yet you have people on social media and many people on Fox News, the pundits on Fox News, going after you and attacking you and calling you names and thinking they know everything about these cases when really they know nothing and they don't have the facts. I would imagine that has to be a bit, I guess what's the word I would use, frustrating for you.
Oh, it's beyond frustrating. It's super frustrating for me. And, you know, but I'll tell you the thing that's even more frustrating. And I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. Look, you want to criticize – if Tucker Carlson or others on the right want to take to their shows, they want to criticize me, they want to go after me, they want to attack me, they want to call me names, they want to do these things. You know what? That's their prerogative. They can do that. First Amendment. God bless them. But have me on to defend myself. Right? Give me a shot to defend myself. You know, if I'm so incompetent, if I'm so pathetic as they claim, if I'm all these things that they claim that I am, why don't you have me on the show so you can embarrass me and show me to be the alleged fraud that you claim I am? Well, there's a reason for that. They don't want to have me on to defend myself because they know they're going to get their lunch eaten. And, you know, so it's a little bogus. It's actually a lot bogus. You know, you can say what you want about CNN and MSNBC. Let me tell you something. If they want to attack somebody, if they want to go after Rudy Giuliani, for instance, they invite Giuliani on the show. If they want to go after Kellyanne Conway, they invite Kellyanne on the show. They do that repeatedly. However, when it comes to Fox, Hannity, and Tucker and others, they don't allow you to come on and defend yourself. And to all the people that'll say, oh, well, Tucker had you on that one time. Well, yeah, and since then, you know, he's done about 10 or 12 or 15 hit pieces on me, and he continues to refuse to have me on the show because he would rather just take shots at me because he's a coward in a vacuum.
Yeah, and one of the things about that is if you don't know who you are and you are a loyal listener to Tucker Carlson or Fox News, and all you get is what they tell you, that it's forming an opinion about you that probably 99% of the time is untrue. And one thing that our show does, and we have people all the time that call in and they say, hey, this Michael Avenatti, he's actually a really smart, good guy. You know, he's kind of turned me onto his side, but you don't get that opportunity if you don't get to go on those shows. But in modern America, if you follow those specific shows or those networks, they're going to an opinion about you will be formed. No, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's a good point. We've had people call into the show, Michael, maybe the day after you make an appearance. They say, you know, I have a lot more respect now for Michael Avenatti. In fact, we've had people in studio, Republicans, Danny Tarkanian, one of them, that said, you know, I really respect him now that we had a chance to meet face-to-face and talk.
I mean, that's probably happened 150 times since we started having you on.
It has happened quite a bit, yes.
Well, you know, that's nice to hear. I've seen that personally. I mean, I think that when people actually meet me or they hear me talk about issues or we really get into issues, they realize that I'm not some radical left-wing guy that's just out there espousing left-wing principles. I'm actually very moderate. I disagree with the Democrats on a number of issues. I'm left of center, and I'm a fairly moderate guy. I just also happen to be very anti-Donald Trump because I think that he is a disaster of a president. I think it's an incredibly dangerous situation. And I don't think at the end of the day, he's good for anybody, whether it be Republicans or Democrats. And he's especially not good when he allows 18,000 terrorists to be released.
Michael, I think I agree. I think there's two reasons why many people do not want to debate you or are not willing to debate you. I think it comes down to two different reasons. I think, number one, they feel like they have nothing to gain from having a debate with you because they might end up looking like a fool, and they know that you're an intelligent guy that is very good at debating anyone. I think that's reason number one. And then I think there's the other reason that we were just alluding to. You hear about all these charges. Well, if people that are watching Fox News, they make you out to be this horrible human being and this criminal, and I think there's some people that just want to be disassociated from you because they hear all these reports on Fox News.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't disagree at all. I think that those are definitely, both of those reasons are true. Although, I will tell you that before any of these charges came down the pike, there was still an issue relating to people like Kellyanne and others bailing on joint appearances,
right?
Especially last spring and summer. The White House would not allow these folks to appear opposite me. It was just that simple. And so, it's interesting. I'm going to continue to commentate, obviously on this show and other shows about, my view of the issues and what I think are the positives and the negatives that are going on in the political environment. But again, and I'm going to keep harping on this, guys, this situation with these terrorists being released because of Donald Trump in Syria, this is a big deal. This is going to come back and bite the United States in the ass in a very big way, whether it be, God forbid, the resurgence of ISIS and the potential loss of American life going forward, or the fact that we're now going to have to eventually put 10, 20, 30, 40,000 troops in Syria to clean up this mess. This is going to have long-lasting effects. And, it's a shame because the servicemen and women of the United States have risked lives. They've lost lives. They've worked really, really hard to eliminate ISIS, and it's all of their work has been flushed down the toilet.
No, you're right. You're right. Let's try to squeeze in one more call before we have to go to break. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you have a question for Michael? Go ahead. We lost Joel.
Great call,
Joel. Michael, thank you so much for taking some time to join us again. There's just so much going on in the news lately. Sometimes it's really hard to keep up, and you do really a fantastic job. I mean this sincerely, of kind of rolling through all the topics that have taken place here in the last week and explaining it to the people. We really do appreciate your insight, Michael. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you next week, okay?
Thanks, guys. Go Cardinals.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
There you go. It should be a fun game today. Go Cardinals. How about that? Michael bringing his dad to a couple playoff games. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I saw a picture on Instagram where he's at Busch Stadium, just lit up like a Christmas tree. So I thought I'd ask him about it.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a big Cardinals fan. He's definitely as passionate about that. All right, so when we come back, we're going to have John Schaefer bring us the news of the day coming up here in just a few minutes. And then, remember, JD, we've been talking a lot about this horrible situation of this woman in Dallas, this African-American woman who's in her own house, looks through the window, gets shot by a police officer, and everybody has a right to be livid about this. However, there's the other side. There are ignorant people out there and family members, criminals. In fact, we have a story coming up. You're not going to believe this. A man walks into a gas station and tries to rob the cashier with a gun. The cashier takes out a gun, shoots him, and now the family of the guy who committed the crime is saying foul play. You're not going to believe this story. It is unbelievable, and it is coming up next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.